That's what most people do. If a venture capitalist who is a really smart person is out there looking at 1,000 business plans for really smart people before they invest in 2 or 3, why would you go with the first idea you had in the morning to go start your business? Why? Because people say, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to be an entrepreneur. So, oh, here's an idea, I'll go do that. Right? You're the biggest investor. If your friend turned to you and said, I want you to give me all your money, and I want you to keep working for the next 2 years and give me all of your salary, would you give it to your friend? Well, you probably wouldn't drop right to it. But that's what you're asking of yourself. You're giving up your money, you're giving up salary, right? You're really committing to that. Do your due diligence. You are the biggest investor in your business, no doubt about it. No. And I think it's very important to go out and get mentors and advisors that can really help you. Somebody that understands. Again, I'm really focused on high-tech, kind of tech-oriented big businesses that are, come by way of a startup. But the idea then is to find people that understand a startup. Find people in the industry that can, advise you. Find mentors. You can't do it by yourself. There's the team that works with you, and then there's the team that works around you. And those are your advisors, those are your mentors, those are your investors. Find the right ones. Find people that really understand the business. Next. So keep it all in perspective. These are myself and my 3 daughters 7 years ago. My 3 daughters are 25, 24, and almost 21, which is important in the United States because that's the drinking age. So these are my 3 daughters, and it really was kind of a family thing. They all worked at Authentic at various points, but they were all, very much into it. But when I wasn't working, I was with my family. I didn't have any hobbies. I gave up everything else I did, right? It was either work or my daughters and wife, and I've been married for 33 years. They were very much into sports, volleyball, softball. They were very big into soccer and football. The fact of the matter is, if they had an event and I was in town, I was there. I often went back to work after it, but I was there. And I showed my commitment to my daughters. And then finally, one of the things that I think is important, right, is to keep things in perspective. And I know I'm over, but, let me just tell you a little story. I was poor growing up. I was poor in a rich town. And when I got out of college, I had this idea that I was going to go show everybody that I could make money, that I could be rich. So I went out there, I worked hard, I had this vision, I want to make all this money, I want to go back to my hometown and say, look, I was successful, and so on and so forth. So I was heading up this big thing for actually the U.S. government, the Joint Chiefs of Staff. It was a very big task. I was only about 28 or 29. I was running a study of about 200 subcontractors in the U.S. I won't go into the details. And my wife called, and her grandmother had died, Mary Brooks. I thought it was important that I go out. It was in the middle of nowhere, the funeral was going to be in the middle of nowhere in West Virginia. The woman was mid-90s. She had been in a nursing home for a number of years. I assume didn't have many friends. 95, you don't have that many friends, right? So, she'd been in this home, and I thought it was very important that I go back to this funeral just so there's somebody there to show my support to my wife and the family. We didn't have children at the time. So I went back, flew in, got in late at night, went to this little flea bag of a hotel in the middle of nowhere in West Virginia, up in the mountains. And the next day, I'd never really been to a funeral, at least in the U.S., for family. And the family actually gathers in a room outside the main church. So I went in this room, and I went in this room, and it was packed. I was like, who are all these people? I don't remember getting this many wedding gifts when we got married. But she was clearly from an exceedingly big family. My wife was from, they had 9 children, her dad was a minister. Didn't have a lot of money themselves growing up. And I just thought, wow, there's a lot of people. So then the family marches, at least in the U.S., they all walk into the main church. And I walked into this church. This church is in the middle of nowhere, but it's fairly sized. It's probably as big as many seats as in here. And this room was packed. Every seat was taken. And there were people standing on the side. There were people standing in the back. Mary Brew. Who does she know? I thought this person was dying, in essence, by themselves. And I realized at that point in my life, I had set the wrong priorities completely. That Mary Brew, who I thought was this little old lady, never started a company, never, was famous or on the radio or anything, Mary Brew had touched more people in her life than I ever could in mine. No matter how wealthy I was, no matter how important I thought I was, no matter if I had buildings named after me, Mary Brew had touched more people. Now, these were the people that were at the church. Remember, she's 95. A lot of her friends were gone already. Can you imagine how many other people Mary Brew had touched in her life that weren't there? And I just realized in my life, no matter, what you do, it's the people that you touch that carry on. You may not even know you touched them. And they can carry on in life. And I just thought, wow. I went home the next week. We talked about having children. A little while later, we had, our first daughter, and then, of course, 2 more. And honestly, if we had started earlier, if I wasn't such an old guy when I started having children, we would have had more, right? So, that was a real realization that you don't have to be the CEO. You don't have to be the startup that makes it successful. Not a single person in here knows Mary Brew. But my bet is that the Touch ID that you see on this phone would not be here today had it not been for Mary Brew. Because she sparked me. Why do I work now? I like it. It's my sport. If I was 7 foot tall, if I had any athletic ability whatsoever, I would have loved to have been an athlete and then a coach. I could have easily run up and down the sideline, throwing my hat and having a temper tantrum. This is what I like. I really like work. To me, it's the thrill of victory, agony, and defeat. Not every day is good, not every day is bad, but I really love the sport, and I come back for it. But it is not me. That is family, and that is God. And go to the next slide. I like this quote from a book, Every Good Endeavor. And I can't really see it that well. I am old. You think about working. Why do you work? And the quote goes, if this is all there is, then everything will eventually burn up in the death of the sun, and no one will ever be around to remember anything that has ever happened. Everyone will be forgotten. Nothing we will do will make any difference, and all good endeavors will be for naught. And then it goes on, unless there is a God. If God exists, and there is a true reality beneath and behind this one, and this life is not the only life, then every good endeavor, even the simplest ones, pursued in the response to God's calling, can matter forever. It's not about being important. It's not about being successful. It's about touching people. And I think the greatest person that I probably ever met in my life doesn't even know that she touched me. Because she was dead. It was Mary Brew. And I put a lot more value in the Mary Brews of the world than the Scott Modis. And so, as you go forward and you look, whether you do a startup, whether you work for a firm, whether it's a big company or small, whether you start your own little business, it's the work that you do every day that furthers God's will. It's the people that you touch in your life that are critically important. And that's the real value of work, the opportunity to touch others.
Any questions?
You know what? Why don't we have Bill go? We'll take questions at the end.
That's fine, yeah.
Okay.
So, Bill.